G'day guys, it's day 7, I think it is, working with Brolga. I'm going to start to work less and less with food necessarily at the moment. So the reason I like to work with food at the start is to encourage a good bond between us. I'm the positive reinforcement, like I'm the positive, there's food, I can give it to him, he can come to me. So I'll use a little bit to catch him this morning. He's been pretty good with me grabbing a hold of that rope. He kind of had a few little hissy fits where if I didn't have food with me, he started to, oh no, I want to go this way, oh no, I want to go this way, I want to go this way. So we want to try and wean food out of our training as early as we can to some extent. If we're doing certain little exercises like starting to look at float training or starting to work with more liberty sides of things and things like that, food is definitely something that is a great training tool if used correctly. However, at the moment what I want to teach him is that his life doesn't revolve around food, and just because he hasn't got something in his mouth doesn't mean it gives him the right to not be focused and listen to us. So at the moment we're at a vital part where we want his brain to really focus on what we're asking him, because if he's just preoccupied, I've got something in my mouth, you can touch me, as soon as we take that away, his brain's going to go, oh shit, you're actually touching me. So at the moment we're using food a little bit less. We'll use it once we start to lead him outside of the yards. We'll obviously have food as a good source to kind of keep him near us. But again, it's used in moderation. We don't want to overdo it. So the method that we're using to teach our horses to lead is a pressure and release. We keep a maintained pressure on the lead rope at all times. And when he decides to move forwards is when we release, and we have to release immediately, like so. The reason I don't like using food for this is you can see he's just kind of moving towards the food here. So we want to keep the food away from him and start to put that pressure on his lead rope and give him the hay as a reward. So it's a lot of trial and error. Sometimes you'll be there for 5 minutes just keeping a consistent pressure on that lead rope until he moves forwards. From there we can start to move around and turn corners. Again, the hay is helpful at this point in time, but we don't want to use it too much as a guidance, but more as a reward when he does the right thing. And there's a lot of trial and error, you'll make mistakes, but he'll get it after a while. Horses have two sides of their brain, so just because you can do something on one side doesn't mean you can do it on the other side. We almost have to completely reset from working on the right side to working on the left side. So the last bit of today's session was just touching Brolga on his off side because I spend a lot of time on his near side. And when he was good with that, we finished our session for the day there. I was pretty happy with the results from today. The previous video we've managed to get leading, which is fantastic. We're going to work on that this morning. After we finish leading him, we're going to work on touching him over his body as much as he's comfortable with at the moment. With I've got a lunge line that's we've just taped the ends of it at the moment, just so it's not flapping around or anything. I prefer a lunge line over a dressage whip because I have a lot more length than I do as a dressage whip. And we're just being a bit mindful when we're teaching this horse to accept pressure and touch around the back legs. There's a fair chance he will kick out at some point. So we want to make sure we keep a good distance between us and his back legs, which is again why I like to use the lunge whip. And we want to make sure that if he does move, he can move around us rather than standing directly in front of him where he's gonna run through us. So this is the first introduction of our lunge line. Sorry, our lunge whip. We'll let him have a sniff of it, let him have a suss. Good boy. So we're going to touch him with it. He's good, he's having a sniff. He's pretty content, to be honest. Now, yeah, we could realistically probably give him a bit of food, but I don't want to at the moment. I want to kind of work with him without food right now. I want him to start to focus on me and start to get him to actually understand what we're asking. So, he's had a quick sniff. We're just going to go straight in, put it on him. Don't mess around too much, alright? We don't want to... Sometimes it's better just to jump in, chuck it on him. Sometimes when you're light and fluffy and you mess around, that's when the problems start to arise. We're going to go on his bum. We're going to move it around a bit. So this you want to treat as an extension of your arm, a safe extension of your arm. This is to stop you getting kicked. This is to stop you getting injured. This is just to get him used to something touching him everywhere. And he is handling this super well. I was kind of expecting a bit more out of him. And he's not eating, which is a huge thing. We could feed him right now and he would probably let us do whatever we wanted to, and realistically, but his brain wouldn't be focused enough on us. And as I said to start off with, food can be a great training tool. However, it is a great training tool in certain situations. And I did like using it on him to start off with, but now we've hit a situation where it's not appropriate because I want this horse to actually start to think about what's going on. You can see the back legs up there. He's quite content. We're going to go under his gut a little bit. Right here, we're going to touch that leg. Good boy. And if he wants to turn around and have a sniff, he can. Now we're going to go on the other side. Again, don't mess around, just chuck it up there. Now this side, he's definitely less comfortable being touched, purely because I spent a lot more time on his near side than I have on his off side. Again, no messing around. We're just going to go straight in and we're going to touch him. Good boy. If he starts to back up, we're just going to put that pressure on. We're going to bring him a step forwards, just obviously so he's in camera. Come on. Come on. Good boy. Again, no messing around. Just chuck it straight on him. Good boy. He's handling this well. He's understanding what's going on. Our hands moving. We're talking. We're not fiddling around with him either. It's just go straight in, have a suss. If he was reacting a little bit about this, we'd probably just hold it on him for a little bit longer, take it off, put it on him, take it off, put it on him. But because he's going well, this is why we can do this kind of work. And if your horse isn't doing as well as what he is now, don't be disheartened. It's just some horses are more sensitive than others. So we do have a few little arguments and we want to really keep on top of him. Not only is he a young horse, but he's got no bad habits at the moment. We don't want to allow him to develop bad habits. So if he starts to get into this moment, like I'll see if I can get a video of it. He did it yesterday when I ran out of food. But he'll kind of shift that way and try to kind of break away and kind of get back to where he normally eats. Kind of gives me a little bit of grief. So what we want to do there is we just want a bit of tough love with him. Thing where he kind of tries to rip me around a bit. Kind of here. So we want to pull him into the middle. Now if they do that, we want to pull him into the middle quite firmly and release the pressure when they're in the middle. Here he goes here. That's it there. All right, he's not allowed to move away from us. He has to stay with us. Good boy. I don't have any food to give him, but this is the positive here. He's chewing, he's licking, he's good. So that was there. That's what he kind of keeps doing, and we don't want to let him rack off. Here he goes again. Pull him back to the middle, like that. And that's it. We want to start a good habit because this problem can really get out of hand. He can start to want to rip the rope out of our hands. And it's something that we want to beat now so that when we start to work outside of the round yard, if he goes to run off or something, he knows that we have that power over him. If he knows that he can rack off, there's no stopping him. And if he gets out in an area that's not confined, it's going to be a nightmare to get him back. And we'll end it there and probably start like this tomorrow as well.